Good evening, and welcome to the August 25th, 2026 meeting of the Gloucester City Council. This public meeting of the City Council is recorded on Zoom with a link that is posted on the agenda. If you are calling in on a phone, you may press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications and public hearings to be recognized to speak. Technical difficulties arise and the Zoom link is interrupted during an in-person hybrid meeting of the City Council and a quorum is present. The meeting may continue after efforts have been made to reestablish the link. The minute shall note the interruption. It is the finding of the City of Gloucester that no individual should be denied equal treatment or opportunity because of their age, ancestry, color, disability, including intellectual and developmental mental disability, family status, immigration status, gender identity or expression, military status, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. Tonight with us we have Ward 4 Councilor Francesco Maggiota. We have Ward 1 Councilor Scott Memard, Councilor at Large Patty Ann Page, Councilor at Large Hannah Kimberly, Councilor at Large Jason Grow, Ward 5 Councilor and Council Vice President Sean Nolan, and I'm Tony Gross, the Council President. Also with us in the room we have Rose LaPiccolo, Sophia Gross, we have the Mayor, Paul Lundberg, we have Lauren Orlando, we have Grace Poirier, our City Clerk, we have Mike Hale, our DPW Director, Kelly Dolan, our Chief Administration Officer, Brian Hamilton from the IT Department. I don't know if we have anyone online from the city. Don't have anyone online. So now next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Vote.
Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Oral communications.
Okay. Before we're to oral communications tonight, I know there's a lot of questions about the trash and recycling rollout that's coming upon us sooner rather than later. But tonight, the oral communications is for things not on the agenda. And if you have any questions that have not been answered, there's some city staff right over there that you can ask those questions to after the meeting or on their way out. And then tomorrow night, there's another meeting here between 4 and 6 for sign up and hopefully sharing information. And then there's also a meeting at the Veterans Center, 9 to 10 on Friday morning and 10 to 11 here. So please, to help you sign up and to answer questions. Okay. Oral communications. The public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communication shall allow any resident or property owner and/or business owner who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, make their statement without debate, and the City Council will refer matters to the office of the mayor. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak under oral communication? State your name and address for the record, please.
Being heard. My name is Susan Furman. I live at 47 Rocky Neck Avenue. 3 summers ago, on June 19th, a federal holiday, a barge removed the pilings and floats in front of the former studio restaurant and recreated a new configuration of floats and pilings with no permits whatsoever. Finally, last Wednesday, 3 seasons later, after several cease and desist orders from the state and from our Conservation Commission, the restaurant in question has engaged a company to remove the illegal float system. However, it has not yet happened. Presently, right off the same street, Rocky Neck Avenue, same person, we all know who I'm talking about, floats have been put in place, and after a couple of trucks of gravel have been dumped onto the pier. After that, cease and desist order was immediately issued. Over the weekend, as many as 11 truckloads of gravel were dumped onto the site. My point is the city needs to find a mechanism to halt these egregious violations. Right now, there are no consequences. Basically getting away with unbelievable stuff. If I'm a landlord, if I put a door in without a permit, I'm in big trouble. If I didn't register my apartments, I was threatened with $500 a day fines. I just would like to see a little bit more enforcement. I know it's the state too, but I have to vent my frustrations. Thank you very much, councils.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room would like to help? IT right here. Anyone else in the room would like to speak under oral communications? Come up to the microphone, up to the podium, name and address for something that's not on the agenda.
Mark Diesel, 84 Rocky Neck Avenue. I'm the immediate
Right into the microphone. So
I'm the immediate abutter to 7 Sumac Lane. I just wanted to bring to the attention what the previous speaker spoke of. He's been dumping stuff there. Last night he put in electrical cable with no permit and only 4 inches deep. So it's got to be taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Going online. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
A presentation by representatives from Casella Waste Systems regarding the comprehensive overview of the upcoming transition in solid waste and recycling services effective October 1st, 2026.
Good evening. My name is Jack Manning. I'm the market area manager for Casella Waste. Everybody has the handout that was provided. I'll walk through it and then we can have a question and answers after, if that makes sense.
Do you have a laptop with a presentation on it?
I do have a laptop.
That would be great, so it can go on the screen so the folks at home can see it.
That'd be wonderful.
Yep, that would be great. Thanks. For the folks at home, we're just trying to get the presentation so we can all see it. Counselors, while we wait, I think we'll move on to the consent agenda. I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second. So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Gross, seconded by Counselor Memard. Anyone like to remove anything off the consent agenda? No? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. So we're going to take out of order, we're going to take the, for council vote, the Mariners Medal. Someone like to make a motion?
I move to accept the Mariners Medal Committee's recommendations for the recipients of the Mariners Medal.
Okay. Motion made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor Page. Mayor, would you like to say anything on this?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, earlier this year, we reconstituted the Mariners Medal Committee under the city ordinance. The Mariners Medal can be awarded by the city of Gloucester to an individual who committed an act of heroism and extraordinary seamanship on the high seas. We revised the ordinance to eliminate the time limit. There had been a 6-month time limit for reporting, for making nominations. Subsequent, we appointed the Mariners Medal Committee. The ordinance calls for that being the mayor, 3 sea captains with experience in commercial vessels, and a 5th member of the community. All those members of the committee are here this evening. We received a nomination from Senator Tarr nominating Captain Gus Sanfilippo, the master of the Lily Jean, for 3 separate incidents that occurred many years ago during his career as a sea captain. And the Mariners Committee met and made a recommendation. That recommendation now goes to you, to the City Council, and you are the ones who will vote to award the Mariners Medal in accordance with our recommendation, if you so choose. There is 3 separate incidents. There would be 3 separate medals.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee like to speak? I know the senator wanted to be here, but we're taking this out of order, so he's not going to miss this proverbial boat. So, discussion on the motion at the council. All right, I would like to say that we are going to have a special city council meeting for this presentation. That date will be in the near future, to be determined. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 7-0, 2 absent. I think that we will also take up the council vote. Councilor Grow, would you like to speak to the next item that's on the agenda while we wait?
Certainly, this is a motion to accept the decision. Let me find it real quick. I move to accept the decision to adopt Special Council Permit 2026-006, the application of Applied Materials, Inc., owner John Goodwin, to permit a building height of 47.9 feet in accordance with GZO Sections 1.8.3, standard to be applied, 1.10.1, miscellaneous special permits, subsection A1, City Council 3.16B, building heights in excess of 35 feet, and 3.2.1B, maximum height for buildings may be increased by special permit pursuant to Section 3.1.6 at Dory Road, number 11, map 262, lot 16, 26, and 32 in the Business Park District, and I so move.
Motion made by Councilor Grow, seconded by Councilor Page. This is, we've already taken the vote to approve this. This is just the acceptance of that approval. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. Sorry, folks.
All right, Counselor Gross.
Aye.
Counselor Grow.
Aye.
Counselor Kimberly. Aye. Counselor Majota.
Aye.
Counselor Memhard.
Aye.
Counselor Nolan.
Aye.
Counselor Page.
Aye.
The vote is 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 absent. The motion passes.
Good, thank you. And now we'll get back to the aforementioned presentation.
Yes, thank you again. Jack Manning, the Market Area Manager with Casella Waste. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'd just like to start by saying that Casella is very much looking forward to the partnership with the City of Gloucester for the curbside municipal collection of MSW and recycling. I don't know if you can put that as a presentation up there. We good to go? Think so? All right. So on the first slide here, we just tried to give a very high-level overview of what the services represent. A lot of discussion, well, we get a lot of questions in the industry, so I'll start with this about the change from the conventional rail load application, which I believe is how the city is serviced now, to the automated collection with an automated side load truck. I can tell you that the industry, and specifically with Casella, is moving away from the rail load collection application. There's a number of points that are on this slide, but the last one that's on here is improved safety. The impetus for us and for the industry is the safety factor. Trash collection is one of the highest fatalities in the industrial sector. You have deep sea fishing, right? And police, fire, trash is typically in the top 5. The lion's share of those casualties that we experience in this industry are based on this rail load collection application. You have a driver and a laborer behind that truck. Laborers can fall off the truck, which has happened. We've had laborers actually just behind the truck doing the job, but with sun glare, cars coming up the road, and we've had a tragedy as a result. Long story short, the side load application, which is an automated process, has the driver inside the truck. It's an automated arm. It picks up the specific toter that is being supplied to the residents, and that the safety factor is the biggest component of this. Some of the benefits that come along with this application are the aesthetics and the containment. You have your designated 2 toters in this case for the residents, as opposed to a varied number of waste containers or boxes, bags, etc. Right? So There's improved litter control and aesthetics from that standpoint. It also, frankly, helps with optimizing routing and efficiencies, right? Because of the automation and the consistency from house to house, and the ability to operate. You know, it's much quicker from an operational standpoint and more efficient if we're picking up those design barrels for this truck, as opposed to a laborer getting out of the truck and having to empty different barrels and then move on from that point. So those are the high levels. If you go to the next slide, we just gave some insight to some of the towns that we're servicing currently in this format. You know, we're out of the Peabody Hauling Division, which is where the domicile will be for the Gloucester truck service in Gloucester. We're currently servicing 11 municipal contracts in this fashion. As it says on the slide, Town of Brookline, Wilmington, Hamilton, Wenham, Dracut, Somerville. Most recently as July 1st of this year, the city of Beverly, Melrose last year, the town of Shrewsbury, and Pittsfield in the last year or two have gone to automation. We have the town of Reading that we've just started. Gloucester's on here. We started collecting Manchester by the Sea recently. So in this current year, there'll be 4 towns that have switched not only from the manual collection, but to the automated collection and to Casella, which is Beverly, North Reading, Manchester by the Sea, and then lastly, Gloucester. We provided a collection calendar on the communication and the application itself. This is just quickly, and that was this month. We have the Gloucester's done a very good job in collaborating with us in an effort to make sure that the toters are purchased and then distributed in advance of the October 1 start date. Some frequently asked questions. What will the trucks look like? There's a picture of the truck up there. Again, they're a single body, single commodity automated side load truck. A resident was asking me earlier, from which side of the truck does that work? It's the arm on the truck is on the passenger side of the truck. So we will have 2 trucks routed for the collection of MSW and two of the automated side loaders routed for the collection of the recycling. Because of the nuances in the city of Gloucester, and this is not unique, there's some small private ways, some one-ways. We've also purchased a small 6-wheel 10-yard truck. We have the barrels at the beach, the parks? So, that level of service is unavoidable, that the automated side load truck can't make it through those, through the parks and beaches and such. So in that particular, for the services for that component of the city, we'll be using a small 6-wheel. It's a rear load truck with just an operator, just a driver. So, where will I store my carts is in here. The carts, you'll get the carts as we distribute them. Pretty basic in the garage side of the house. I'm sure residents have their own preference on where that goes. We conduct street audits. So our guys, and again, I was talking with Pat, one of the residents earlier. We're pretty fortunate that we've done a lot of these rollouts and a lot of adaption of new contracts, right? So we've taken on contracts not just that are going from rail load to automated, but automated to automated. And with any new contract, there's a learning curve. Fortunately for us, and for the last several years, we've been suggesting that we partner with the city of Gloucester. Our operations manager, John Dagnazzi, grew up in Gloucester, went to Gloucester High. He worked for Hiltz Disposal for 30 years. He was on the back of a truck in this city 30 years ago and is very intimate with all the nuances of the city. So John will be spearheading the rollout of our carts and the startup with our vehicles. So I think that's a point worth mentioning, that we do have some insight. That's not always the case. You know, a lot of times we're starting a new contract, we're getting maps from the DPW department and having to, you know, work through those over the first several weeks to get acclimated to those streets and understand them. So I'm very happy that we have that, I guess I'll say that benefit or advantage in that respect. So we'll look at, we have a point on here, will the carts be tagged for any reason? We do have what we're referring to as an OOP sticker. You know, if there's a material that's put in the carts are designated for MSW, municipal solid waste, and recycling based on the DEP's guidelines, glass and metal food containers, cardboard, newspaper, mixed paper. If for some reason, you know, it happens, you know, often until people are, understand what the full process is, but there's many things that find their way into the recycling that aren't necessarily acceptable by the state and by the material recovery facility that we bring it to. So we'll provide you with that resident with a sticker that denotes why it wasn't picked up, or if it got picked up inadvertently and they saw it going into the truck. We have cameras in the truck that we can't see what's on the bottom of it until it dumps, but if we do identify it, we'll put the sticker on the toter to say you can't put yard waste in the recycle container. There might be leaves. There's many different things that find their way in there. So we'll continue that communication as we progress through the contract. Couple questions that we typically anticipate hearing. Will I have to use the new carts that are provided? Yes. The trucks can't pick up carts that aren't designed for this application. So the city is providing those carts to, we are providing those carts through the city to every resident. Each resident will receive 2 carts, 2 65-gallon barrels, 1 for trash, 1 for recycling. They will be, you know, clearly differentiated between those. They're both a blue body on the toter. There's a black lid that denotes trash and the lighter blue lid for recycling. What will I do if I have overflow trash, recycling, or other waste that does not fit in the cart? At the end of the day, it'll be incumbent on the resident to utilize the toters they have. We wouldn't be able to pick up excess material outside of those designated toters. So, and another common question, construction debris go in the trash container? And the answer is, again, no. We can help with that, Casella. You know, the residents will be calling. There's a weekly bulk collection that we'll be providing on top of the daily, you know, the Monday through Friday collection on the solid waste and recycling. Part of the service includes a weekly bulk collection that the residents will call to our care center, schedule that item if they have a sofa, or if they have a, you know, chair, whatever they might be looking to get rid of, and they can coordinate that with our customer care department. And then on a monthly basis, we're going to be providing a white goods and a CRT collection for the city. So if you have a stove or a water heater that you're looking to discard, once a month that'll be scheduled. So if you're calling the care center to coordinate that, we'll schedule that accordingly as well, along with the CRTs, like a TV, computer, if you so opt to go through the city collection that we've contracted with. So the last slide here, or the next slide, is again just a quick outline on what's acceptable for single stream recycling. As I had mentioned earlier, a lot of different items get mixed into that recycling application, thinking that, you know, this is plastic or this is metal and metal is recyclable, but it's, you know, it's metal food containers, not, we've got brake drums and the likes in there. So all of this material, recycled material, is going to the material recovery facility in Charlestown, Mass. That's the 4th largest recycling center in the country, largest east of the Mississippi. It currently is processing between 850 and 1,000 tons a day of single stream recycling. So the unacceptable materials, while we're talking about it, you know, plastic bags, batteries, scrap metal, as I mentioned earlier, clothing, e-waste. The plastic bags are very problematic with the equipment. Batteries, which there is a process for recycling batteries, but it's not through this curbside collection. Batteries account for a number of fires at our facilities and other facilities throughout the Commonwealth because of you know, they combust and they spark a fire. So batteries are a no-no for sure. So you have the residents will be on the website, and we'll have the communication and the contact information to call that customer care center if you so desire to schedule a bulk pickup or have any questions about the service, the yard waste collection that happens on a seasonal basis. We're going to be collecting Christmas trees around the holidays as well. And we're in the process of updating a Casella app through Recollect that will allow all residents to subscribe to the app. It's free for the resident. This will give them a lot of the points that we've talked about and much more once we get assimilated and up and running. So that's a pretty high-level overview. I'm happy to answer questions or give any more clarification if necessary.
Thank you. Who wants to start? Councilor Grow?
I was going to ask if maybe the administration would like to put forward their version of the implementation and how it's going to be done locally. Mr. Manning has done a high-level look at Casella's operations, but there's a lot of changes that are coming in from the administration.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Councilor. I was answering a constituent question when you started speaking. So high-level rollout for us. So we've been working with Casella since the spring on determining what the contract would look like for us. So we have some sample toters at Public Works, some are here, Veterans Center, so folks can take a look at the sizes of them. I think it's good to get your hands around them and see what they feel like. Make a determination for yourself. The toters will start to be rolling out through Casella in the next few weeks. The phone lines at Public Works have been pretty full since last Wednesday. A lot of questions on how do I sign up for, how do I get the senior discount? We can walk you through that. The Senior Center today had a couple-hour open house for that. Staff at Public Works has a computer at the front desk that can help with that as well. We're answering lots of questions. I'm sure we'll hear a lot of these questions this evening, but the questions, a lot of repeat questions. So we're hoping that once the brochure lands in people's homes, people can digest the information on that brochure that the city is providing. A lot of that detail is in that. So high level, I think this is a good program. As Jack mentioned, there's not a lot of options other than the automated route right now. I think we're providing a service that satisfies kind of a similar style collection. You have your yard waste in the spring and fall, your Christmas tree collection in January, bulk items, appliances, and weekly trash and recycling. There was vendors that offered us, bi-weekly recycling. We once had that. I think people appreciate the weekly recycling more, so we stuck with that program. And hopefully this is something that, the city hit the mark on, something that's relatively affordable based on the services that we're providing.
Councilor Nolan?
So Mike, I think the rollout of this is is complicated, and it's also pretty cut and dry. In my ward, one of the larger questions I have, and I believe I know the answer, we have a lot of roads that are very long, very steep, and treacherous that the trash trucks don't go up and down. And residents were able to put their bags in their car, drive down the end of the road, and throw a bag out on, let's say, Atlantic Street or Concord Street. Is there any talks of possibly having the smaller truck work with these roads to help some of these people that can't physically bring a 65-gallon barrel down to the bottom hill? Or are we just going to leave it up to them relying on neighbors to help them out? Or is there any type of solution in this?
Be a shared response. We're taking all those calls. We've had a handful of streets. We know a handful of neighborhoods that do this. Some by default because you can't fit up there, and there are some neighborhoods that have requested this over the years. They did not want the trucks in their neighborhoods. So again, sort through that list and try to work with John Tagnazzi at Casella to see if there is a common solution for some of these neighborhoods. There may be better solutions to some neighborhoods than others. And that's, I think you're facing that in other communities as well right now.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make. That's not unique to Gloucester. You know, there might be some roads that are thinner or not as wide as others. But we have to experience that. We'll come out, we'll make sure, if the truck can back up that road safely, if it's a back down, residents might have to take their barrels where they have, to the opposite side of the road than they customarily did before. In the example you're talking about, we did buy the smaller truck that we're going to use in some of the one-ways in the smaller, difficult areas to service with the larger vehicle. So we'll work with Public Works if we can access it with the smaller truck, and we might have to change the collection day to make it consistent with where the truck's operating, but we'll work collaboratively with the Public Works Department to try and find solutions that allows Casella to service those as opposed to having the resident do something different, if that makes sense. I mean, it'll take a little effort and collaboration, but we're going to do our part to help satisfy those concerns.
Excellent, thank you, and thank you for understanding that there are certain situations, and I'm happy that you're able to work on it and try to find a solution for the people that could use the help.
And just something that, Jack and I was speaking of, there will be occasions when there'll be a split body truck in town. And those are the calls we get the most whenever there's a split body truck in town. Meaning one side's recycle, one side's trash. And so from your living room or your kitchen, you're seeing the guy at the back of the truck just toss both in the back of the truck, and they say, why bother recycle? He just threw it away. It's a split body truck. They can handle both, and they're designed for that.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Councilor Grow.
So that there wasn't any surprise tonight, I didn't want to catch anybody flat-footed. I did submit a laundry list of questions that I was made aware of from constituents. Well, there's a lot of them, so I'm just going to run through them. Is there any accommodation for people, renters with disabilities, both physical and developmental, who may be on fixed incomes for rates?
That's a discussion for the administration, and that question has not been asked directly to us yet. Certainly take that under consideration.
Okay. Can I just go through them and get them done? Okay.
Does anybody have an objection with each council going through their list? Because they may, so we don't repeat.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Can we address the responsibility of landlords vis-a-vis their tenants and who's responsible for the barrels regarding 105 CMR? It addresses it to some extent, but because we're transitioning from a pay-as-you-throw to a quarterly payment system, it looks like the responsibility shifts to the property owner. Do we have any involvement in that?
Without my attorney hat on and without the attorney present, the plan is that all assessments will go to those who have the utility bill for the building or the unit.
And the lease agreement will be what the lease agreement is between
Correct.
the tenant, and that's what, okay. Can they pass the cost on to the tenants? I think the answer is yes.
A legal
Yeah.
question, but I believe
Right.
the answer is yes.
Can a landlord get a senior discount for their tenant if they would otherwise qualify? So if you have a renter who's a senior, can they qualify?
Yes, the discount goes to those in that unit. So if you own a building and there's a senior renting, the senior can get the discount. If the senior owns the building, he can't get you the discount.
Right. Okay. Do property owners, landlords need to provide for every unit if a unit is unoccupied? What if they have a 3-family but only utilize 2 units and don't rent the other ever? What about summer residents? And what about short-term rentals?
We envision the program to assess a annual fee to each unit. It's difficult to say when someone says, I have a 3-family, I only rent 1 apartment, ever and forever. Maybe that should be a 1-family, and that can be done to the inspectional services, converted back to a single family. We have had a number of calls that we never rented. We know better. There are some that may never, and there was one today that historically it's a family home, it's in disrepair. They're working to restore the 2nd and 3rd apartment, only use apartment number 1. I think those ones are going to take into consideration, but generally speaking, it's 1 unit, 1 fee. No consideration for seasonal use. If you have a seasonal property, you get assessed. We don't know when you're there. Difficult to say that, well, I shut it down in December, I shut it down in November. I'm not sure who's going to do that from the city to check on when you shut the building down. It's a fee that's assessed annually. So I think it will remain as it is.
There was some confusion regarding the purchase of extra toters, both trash and recycle. So people will buy an extra toter if they need one for $75, either trash or recycle. The confusion was that on one document from the city was that there was no charge for recycling, but can you clarify what the charges are going to be?
I apologize for the mistake that was. So if you choose to ask for an additional toter, whether it's trash or recycle, that toter fee is $75. And then there's a charge on top of that for an annual fee. So you're going to get another toter. It's the 35 gallons, $200 annually. And another 65, $300 annually. It's the same for the recycle. Yeah. So it's $200 or $300 if you want to get another 65 or 35 gallon toter.
So an extra $300 fee wouldn't get you both toters. They'd get you one or the other.
Correct.
Oh, I've got nodding heads.
If you want additional toters,
Right.
you can, if you purchase the $75 trash toter and the $75 recycling toter, you will only be assessed the fee,
One fee.
1 fee.
Okay, I think that's the clarification.
I misunderstood you.
So you get 2, you can get 2 toters. If you buy the 2 toters, you'll only be assessed the same fee that you would get if under the normal.
Another
system.
set. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Almost done.
Microphone.
Sorry, if you have 2 rubbish toters, are you getting charged 1 $300 fee or two $300 fees?
2.
Thank you. Yep.
How long is the contract? What's the contingency plan if this company becomes a union company and goes on strike? These are not all my questions, by the
Certainly.
way.
It's a 5-year contract with 2 2-year options. Contingency plan, should something happen, there is no such thing as a contingency plan. It's a what if,
Right.
we pivot, we manage. We've done it before. We've done it twice since I've been here. Before JRM, we had a notice that we're closing shop, no longer service in Gloucester. We moved to another firm, and within a few weeks, it was fine.
Somebody asked about where are people getting purple trash bags until the system begins. Apparently, there's been a run on plastic bags. Everybody's rushing out to buy them.
I've heard every imaginable scenario on that. I mean, the large stores are carrying them. We've been in contact with them to make sure they carry enough. Sure.
Yeah.
But
I
certainly
think
the
that
large stores,
usual
we've been in
places.
contact with the large vendors to make sure they keep them in stock.
Apparently, there was a commodities market. People were buying years ahead of time. I don't know. It's weird. What about the overflow bags that are utilized in other communities? I think Ipswich has overflow bags they sell.
We do not offer an overflow bag.
Okay.
Ipswich also has 35-gallon trash toters. Only.
Only. What about damage, theft, or loss of the barrels? Will they need to be replaced by the resident? Will they be identified by address if they're stolen?
Yes, each toter is identified and it's tagged to that address. And if the wheel becomes wonky, it's a call to the Casella Help Desk, and they'll send someone to take care of that. I suppose the same thing would happen if they were stolen. We'd be able to replace it. We will be keeping stock of these. It's not like we're ordering exactly the right number. There'll be surplus at Public Works for just that purpose.
Add on to the damage question, with the narrow streets that we have and the fact this arm's coming up, is it coming up over cars? Is there a potential for damage to vehicles, and if there is, what happens?
No, it will not come up over cars,
Okay.
right? The operators of that truck will only pick up, they'll pick up the toter if it's not in a position that's readily serviceable. At the onset, our operators are going to get out, put the toter in a position to where it can be serviced, and they'll sticker it, saying that it's got to be accessible. We need X amount of feet on either side, and we can't have anything overhead. So it does not go over cars. The operators won't typically go between cars unless there's, a full car length, if you will. So it has to be accessible for the truck.
How can a resident change their level of service, either upwards or downwards, after they've experienced actual use? Can they trade in their barrels for larger or smaller versions for a fee change?
So we're discussing the timeline on that. Lessons learned from other communities: don't do it immediately. Have a time for people to settle in to make sure it is in fact what they truly want to do, because we've heard anyway, too big, too small. There is no just right. They go back to the too big. So let people live with it for a little bit, probably 6 months, and then reassess.
Okay. How are you going to handle holiday surges in trash and recycling and seasonal yard waste?
Seasonal yard waste, is it 3 and 4? 4 and 3. 4 and 3. So you'll have 4 weeks of collection, then 3 weeks of collection in the spring, Christmas trees in January.
And those will be the standard paper bags?
Yep.
We already used. We're almost done. Why the last minute unveiling, timeline for opting out? If you miss the deadline, when's the next opportunity to adjust your services? I think there's a lot of concern that we only have until Monday of next week.
In an ideal world, this would have been, announced sooner. It wasn't. The 31st was a date that we'd hoped for all along. If we can't hit that date, we can't hit that date. We will adjust. There's a lot of work still to be done at Public Works to get these lists sorted through. So if we need to allow a little bit of time, we'll allow for a little bit of time. Again, if you do nothing, you get a 65-gallon trash and a 65-gallon recycling. You will have something.
Got it. Final question. The bulk items are significantly more expensive than we've been used to. And what are we going to worry about in terms of dumping and people deciding that we're not going to pay 55 or 75 or 150? The
previous bulk item program was grossly undervalued. When our cost is more than it is for them to pick it up, there's a problem. It's upside down. That cuts into core services. It's teachers, it's firemen, it's policemen. That's how many roads we pave, how much grass we mow. That can't keep occurring. If you need to dispose, and oftentimes I've spoken to people, it's cheaper to have the city pick it up than the furniture company. They got a mattress, or when we took mattresses, they get a sofa. The Acme Furniture Company wanted $65 to haul it away, and we were $30. That's why they're going with us. But it's costing us $65 to get rid of that couch. So this is right sizing it. It's what the industry demands. People aren't buying bulk items weekly. I don't want to call it a luxury, but it's an occasional purchase, and you pay the occasional disposal fee.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the questions. Again, they're came from a whole range of constituents, and I appreciate your responses. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I can just ask the question if that's okay. Counselor Kimberly, if folks need to get rid of the current barrels that they have, what should they do?
So once the program is up and running, so not on October 1st, but probably that following Monday, which I believe is the 5th, Public Works during traditional business hours will have a drop-off, and we'll run that for a number of weeks, hoping to capture as many as possible during those time. No fee, you bring them to us, whether it's an old recycling bin or your old Rubbermaid barrel, whatever it may be, and you can bring it to us, we'll dispose of it. If we run into the need to have perhaps a couple Saturdays into November available, we'll make that happen, but we will take them.
Councilor Memard.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mike. And we're all looking forward to this new world. And thank you for all the work that your department is doing to help roll it out with Casella. As you're aware, and I think I already know the answer, but again, I'd like it for the public's sake to have you go through it. In Ward 1 in East Gloucester, we have a number of summer homes that are not on winter water. In other words, they're disconnected from water and sewer services in the off-season, whether November through May or whatever it might be. People are concerned that they're going to be saddled with a year-round trash disposal fee for a home that's not occupiable legally for half the year or more. What are the options for these folks besides paying the full fare?
I'd probably suggest it's a choice versus that they shut it down in the winter more than anything, and that may not always be the case. They may, we have requests for water turn-ons in the middle of the winter because they're going to spend the holidays in Gloucester. So I'm not sure what the expectation would be for that, a list like that to be managed, which ones are there short-term, long-term, all the time. So it's envisioned that this is a annual program. You're in it or you're not in it. So seasonal properties would be assessed a full fee. If they're seniors, they get that discount. You know, it's against $100 for someone to come to your house every week to take your recycling and trash away 52 weeks a year. And if they take advantage of it 25, it's still a pretty good deal.
Thank you.
Councilor Nolan.
Hey, Mike, and to piggyback a little bit off of what I think Scott was asking, what is the mechanism for billing if people have a well and they don't have a water? How will they be billed versus water rate users?
So that small percentage in Gloucester that currently receives no utility bill, they'll receive a new utility bill that will just have this trash service on it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Councilor Majota, what's your name?
Like twins, right? Jason, thank you for the list of questions. That's kind of a lot of questions that I was asking. I guess what happens for those who have extra purple bags, and what happens if the last week before the transition that they're stopped selling bags? Would people be able to put up black bags, or what happens with the extra bags?
Two questions there.
Yeah.
So extra bags, there's no refund on extra bags. You can use those purple bags as just, there's no value to them after October 1st. They can be used as just traditional trash bags at that point. They'll still pick them up in the toters. I can't foresee somebody not being able to get bags through October 1st. You know, we've been in contact for months with the big vendors. It may not be the mom and pop store. It may be Market Basket, you know, or maybe Stop and Shop. But there will be bags available in Gloucester.
Okay, and how are the rates determined? Just clarification. So say someone has like a low level of trash. If they're like a single person, they throw, they spend about $50 a year on purple bags. Now they'll see a significant increase in their trash fee. Like how was the fee determined for the 300 or 200?
You're taking a look at a new contract that has a whole new fee in it that we haven't had ever. Recycling is a significant increase to this fee. You know, for years, we negotiated a zero disposal cost for recycling. Recycling costs more than solid waste right now to dispose of. And that trend's, I don't see that trend changing. That trend's going to keep on moving like this. So there's a cost that, you know, they may have been heavy recyclers. Well, they weren't being charged for the recycling before. They are today. So I think it's an equitable distribution of the total contract, a very good discount for seniors, and options for seniors. And there are options for, you know, traditional households, whether you're a small household, we want 235s, or your family, you want 265s, we want upsize and have 365. So it was the most equitable way that we could formulate rates for this first year.
Okay. Could there be a rate change for year two based on the number of, you know, if there's a high percentage of seniors, for example, who take advantage of this discount, would then the difference go to those who have families or are not 65?
So there will be a reconciliation of all of this, you know, some sort of accounting of once we get this up and rolling. You know, we know how many seniors are in the city of Gloucester. And do they all take advantage of the trash? Probably most do. So we had a baseline what we thought it would be. But we'll have to back into that once we get the program truly up and running, because you can't predict what 13,000 housing units are going to do. You can forecast and use, you know, industry standards, you know, past practice, experience of, you know, what we see. I mean, you know, my office, I mean, I've been doing this since 2008. Rose has been doing this, you know, 15 years, 20 years longer than I have. So there's a lot of experience in the office. And, you know, Casella's been a great partner in trying to, you know, assess what they are seeing in other communities. We were at the city of Beverly, lessons learned from their rollout and how they saw things, and try to learn from, you know, a very, very recent example. Beverly's not that much different than Gloucester. Geographically, it's the same. Size-wise, it's similar. Age-wise, it's you know, it's got the leafy suburbs on the outside and a city center downtown. So we try to do the best we can. But again, this will be reconciled, and we'll see where we stand. And then as rates change, as you know, you'll have a bite at that next spring.
Okay. Got a few more. But there is an option, if I rather, is there an option to completely opt out or not?
If you can show us that you have an alternate disposal mechanism, like say you had a business and you had a dumpster for your business, and you were allowed to you could bring your own trash to that dumpster. You could let us know that, you know, you're at such and such an address, and this is my hauler, and this is where it's going. What we don't want is we don't want people putting it in their neighbors' barrels, in the barrels on Main Street. So there needs to be a way. What is your methodology of disposing of your household trash? All households generate some trash, some a lot more than others, some very little. I've had a lot of calls that say they generate zero. I'm not sure if that's true.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
And then this is one last question. And this, I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but like, let's say, for example, people are used to putting their trash at the end of the street, for example, but based on what I just heard, it's like a sidearm to pick up. So if that is forgotten for years of someone putting the trash in, like on their end of the street, not on the side, like would they not be picked up? Would they, or like, how would they know that they made a mistake or not be able to pick up? That means they're sitting
So the
with their
next
trash.
few weeks, the operations team from Casella and Public Works will be looking at some of these streets that aren't serviced traditionally, if you want to refer to it like that. We know which ones they are. And there'll be some, you know, adjustments made, and maybe not. Maybe there is no solution to certain streets, because we can't fit anything down. There are some very strange named roads in the city that may be tough to get down no matter what it is. And that's why forever the trash has been brought down to a larger intersection. But we will be looking at those individually and making decisions.
Okay, and thank you, and Rose, thank you for every time I email you, you're always there, so thank you.
Counselor Page.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up on something that Jason touched upon. Celebrations, events, different things people do host in the city. I understand the process. Whatever bin you've ordered, you live with. However, how are people going to practically deal with excess rubbish during certain events? Is there any kind of accommodation that can be made? I know this is a tough one.
I don't think it is a tough one. I mean,
Okay.
if you're having a big party at your house, I don't think the rest of the city should be paying for it. You can hire a small dumpster to be dropped off at your home. All the hardware stores sell the bagsters. You could have something like that dropped off and scheduled to be picked up if it's a small event. Casella will rent you a can or a dumpster to service your event.
What's the smallest runoff dumpster? What's the smallest dumpster available? How many yards?
I don't think it has to be a dumpster. It just needs to be something,
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm
an accessory.
a little familiar with dumpsters, and they're 15, 20, 30, 40-yard roll-offs.
Right, you're right. So that's a little bit of a unique request. On a temporary basis, the smallest container we're currently providing is a 15.
15. No,
That would be too big for what you're saying, and probably not
right.
practical.
No, no.
Again, we're just beginning this partnership. I will say on behalf of Casella that we are open to how we can best serve the city. And, you know, if we see these type of requests on an interim basis for I don't know, whether that's Labor Day, July 4th, whatever it might be, I will say that we'll commit to trying to provide some type of service specific to that resident for that event.
Well, you must have experience with this in other communities. Other people must run into this.
There's a whole host of private haulers on the North Shore that have a whole variety of size cans that can be rented. I mean, I think as a municipal hauler, 15 would probably be the most reasonable small size, but they have smaller size cans. You see them all the time. You see them on small demo jobs. You see them, you know, if someone's got an event at like one of the parks, or even the old sidewalk bazaar. There was the small ones that would be placed at the intersections. So there are options for you. So as an individual having an event, whether it's at your business or your home, business shouldn't be taking part of this anyway, but if at your home, for example, there's ways for you to dispose of surplus trash. Now, I wouldn't expect you to hold on to it for weeks and weeks and kind of parcel it off into your 65-gallon toter, but also it's like, how do you accommodate again, 13,000 households? How do you shape a program that services the majority of those houses in a way that the city can afford, without having a whole host of options that, if I was going to ask Jack to have, a dozen 6 yards, 410s, and, 30, 15-yard dumpsters ready for us, he would. We would pay for it. So those are considerations that we need to make, is that we're trying to find something that's affordable for the city, especially in a kind of a tighter financial time, and not accommodate all the what ifs. The what ifs can be handled by the private market.
Right. I was hoping that the company had exactly what you said, a small usable container if somebody wanted to call out and say, I have an event or it's a holiday, but a 15-yard roll-off is not, our dumpster is not practical.
I agree with you that that's not. And to Mike's
That's okay.
point, we, as a matter of practice, don't provide that kind of service. There are a number of smaller, you got junk, one called junk haul, and then little independents that their whole business consists of that type of service. So they don't have the capital or the labor to do something on a broader basis like the services we're providing, but they make a living off of those smaller, little independent, unique applications. So
Thank you.
there's options.
I think the awareness that there is an availability privately is important.
We have
And-
two right here in town, Council Page. You have Hiltz and you have
EWS?
one. Yeah, Cox.
Fox, yeah.
So you have two small ones right here in the city.
This is kind of a two-part question. Property ownership changes. If a property is vacant, it's opted out, but it changes ownership through this year, can the new owners, based upon new ownership, opt in?
Yes.
Okay, and if a property, if it was declared totes, you've got 265s, and the new owners want to change the program because that's not their need, can they also do that?
Just trying to follow, so a
I have
vacant
a house, I
apart,
have 265s, he buys my house, he wants 235s, can he opt in based upon change of ownership?
yes, there'll be an opportunity to do that. Again, we need to get through, the
Okay.
launching of this to try to figure out the effort that it's going to take to keep track of those changes and make sure we can service all 13,000 plus housing units.
Okay, what you're saying is there's going to be flexibility, we don't exactly know how.
What it looks like is to be determined, but we have to be flexibility. Certainly for a new tenant that wasn't serviced before. It's just like a new house. Someone builds a new house, they have to
Right.
sign up. It's like they sign up for a new water account, sewer account, they sign up for a new trash account.
And I might be wrong about this. I don't know if the Casella man can answer this. I was in Beverly this week, and I did see one of these lift trucks, so I paid particular attention how they did it. And if I'm not mistaken, do these trucks, do some of them actually have only a passenger service and not an actual driver? Are they automated?
No, well, they're dual operator. When
Well,
they're
thank you.
collecting, they
Right.
have controls on the passenger side.
That-
So when they're on the main thoroughfare, they're driving from the left-hand side, but when they're in-town collecting, they have the same controls on the passenger side. This way, they have visibility to what they're doing.
Good, thank you. I want to make sure I saw that correctly. And I actually spoke to Tony today. Can you readdress the fee structure and how and when the city council will be finalizing and voting on this fee structure?
You just voted on a consent agenda that's sending it to BNF.
So the fees that we see today could change once this goes through Budget and Finance.
I guess the city council could choose to change the fees if they so desire, if they want to,
Okay.
disrupt the financial arrangements that went on, that's a possibility.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. Is there a cost associated with changing the bin size? Other than if you go from small to big or big to small, is there a service charge if you change the bin size?
So there will be excess bins. Again, there will be a point when there is a cost, whether it's average costing and marginal costing, you have to kind of take a look at, when does that happen? If we have extra bins, we've purchased the extra bins already, there will be a time when there needs to be perhaps more bins purchased. And so that'll be a direct cost to the city at that point. So if you just decided to swap out your bins from, you thought 35 would be enough for your
Well,
family?
you call and you go through the DPW.
Yes, you go through us. And I don't envision there being a fee to swap them out. There'll be a fee associated with the service that you're asking for.
Right, exactly. And now I also heard that there will be no, there's 3 apartments in a building and they're ABC, 23 Summer Street, ABC. And, traditionally people would just paint that on the trash can. What is Casella's feeling about marking up their toters or the toters that the city bought from them? Will there be any ramifications if people do that?
The short answer is no. It happens. It's not something that we make an effort to police. If if that helps the residents, and we envision being here for the long term, so hopefully that's the case.
And let's say it, a wheel gets broken or something, it won't hamper anything if that has been painted on it
No.
for replacement.
No, no. I mean, we can typically, DPW will have extra wheels, extra lids, and those carts can most times be repaired so that you don't have to replace them. It's much more cost effective too.
Okay, now, what about in many of our small streets, that the truck can either back down, but there's still, a lot of our city streets don't have parking available on their own property, and so the street is actually filled with cars. How does this work? Street's still passable with the truck, with the arm, but how will this work?
We're going to have to evaluate that, right? So again, as I said, John's very familiar with the town. He's well aware in collaboration with Rose where some of those challenges already are. So part of that startup for us will be evaluating that and the best way to service it. If we do have to run that, that split body that Mike referenced earlier to get to those and manually collect some of those, I mean, ideally, we want to be able to service as many streets with the automated vehicle as possible. We also understand and appreciate that that's not all necessarily possible with every street because of the logistics.
And on one-way streets, you're going to ask the people on the other side, or streets that you have to back down, you're going to ask them to put them on the opposite side of the street?
Correct.
So that they will be over on the other side. I think you mentioned that earlier. So and Mike, this might be for you or Rose, a landlord, they legitimately don't have at this particular time, have anybody occupied, but they want to sign up for the smaller bins for the second unit. Do they just fill it out in their name? So they would have 2 applications in their name?
Yes, if they own the building, the
Yep.
utility bill's in their name,
Yep.
and they own all X number of units,
Yep.
they can
They
say
could
that
just
unit-
say, I
yeah.
want 435, if it's a 2-family, 435, and they could just apply. Do they have to apply twice?
Every unit should apply.
Yep, okay.
Makes it cleaner, because again, this is spreadsheet driven, and so there'll be 3 entries in the spreadsheet.
Now, you say that they have to be backed in, so the wheels are facing the curb, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. What if it's uneven, the street's uneven, and, do these toters, do they self-anchor themselves well enough? Are they balanced enough so that the front end holds them in place on some of our steeper streets?
I think gravity's still pretty strong here, and the barrels aren't going anywhere. I mean, there's,
Okay.
again, that wasn't a wisecrack, but
Yeah, no, I get
you
it.
drive through Lynn,
It was a question that was
Salem, Peabody, they have hills, and their toters are in the place where the owner leaves them every morning and grabs them after the trash comes through in the afternoon. The trash truck will be able to, the lift will be able to grab them, even if it's on an angle, no problem. A roll here, but they have no problem doing that, and they'll place them right back down. Again, if you get a crazy windy day, I can't predict what's going to happen to the barrels, but they're pretty robust. If you lift those, they get some weight to them.
And I just, a question about the rollout of the delivery of the bins. Is there going to be, so people are either if they're away on vacation or something, that they can arrange for someone who's possibly coming to feed the cat. Are we going to be able to publish sort of the schedule of what streets or what Friday north of Willow Rest is going to be done, or is East Gloucester also Friday?
Yeah,
east
it'll
of,
be rolled out in routes, and we can start to publish some of this real detailed information, website, Facebook, wherever people get their information, that can be pliable. Because if we have a really tough day, on a Thursday, we'll have to pick up the rest of Thursday that Friday. So Jack and I are going to be working really close in the next few
Talking about-
weeks on this.
yeah, okay.
So people know when.
When the
And
bill-
again, if you're going to pick up, you're going to receive the barrels for your neighbor, that's fine. We know what your neighbors asked for, or they didn't ask, they get the standard, so we're going to bring them anyway. And if you say, I'm going to wheel them to the back of their driveway, just so
yeah.
they're not off the street, that's fine.
I've had that question from a few people who are going to not be here at this particular time, or they're seasonal, and so it would be good for them to know when they can ask somebody to come and just roll them up to their garage.
We will publish as much real-time information as possible as I work with Jack on this.
And so all these bins have a scan and a serial number?
They will for the initial deployment to make sure that they've gone out. But that's the extent of what the scan's used for.
So, I mean, I guess I kind of headed towards like the stolen bins. Obviously, you're not going to be doing audits when you're picking them up to see if that bin belongs to that house, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Councilman Majota, you had a question?
Yeah, just one. If the trash being put into the tote, does it need to be in a bag? Or if people choose to just dump it in there, can they just dump it in there?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Councilor Grow.
I found one more quick question. I think it's mostly been answered, but I want to ask it anyway, just so we got it. I live on a private road. I'm disabled and cannot walk more than a few feet. Right now, I can drive to the end of the road, which leads down to Washington Street, and drop off my trash bags or recycle bin. With the new system, I will not be able to drag these bins to the road. Is it possible that trucks will come up a private road to empty these bins? And I guess the question is, if there are specific circumstances where someone is incapable of actually getting the bins to a place, what sort of accommodations can we do for them, if any?
That'll have to be a case-by-case basis. I mean, we've had a lot of requests to drive up to people's houses this week. I have a really long driveway. Can you come up to my garage? We can't do that. We're not going to be on private property. And sometimes I question, is it a private road or is it just a driveway? Because we've had those calls this week and they said it's a long private road. It's just a driveway. And there's a very clear distinction legally what the two are. We're not trying to split hairs on that, but those will be taken case by case.
But somebody could, if they had an exceptional circumstance, at least come to you to
If we
play it
don't
out.
know, we don't know. So
Right.
we need to find out.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to thank you both very much, Jack and Mike and Rose, and team, and Lauren, and the team of the mayor's office and the mayor's office. I'd like to also say that tomorrow night in this room, there'll be between 4 and tomorrow afternoon to early evening, there'll be another sign-up session where you can also get more information for you people online who questions didn't get asked. You can come and ask those tomorrow night. And there's also a session, as I stated earlier, at the Veterans Center Friday morning, 9 to 10, and then here at Rose Baker, 11 to 12. So I would recommend, if you have more questions, to come to some of those sessions. Thank you. I see that our senator arrived. I had told him he didn't have to get here because we would, he had plenty of time to get here for the Mariners Medal. If you would like to say anything about the Mariners Medal, Senator, feel free to come up. Mike, shut it off. Or did he break it?
Is that working? Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to the members of the council. I would just take a moment to say thank you to the council for your vote tonight to recognize with the awarding of 3 Mariners medals the extraordinary heroism and courage of Captain Gus Sanfilippo. It's in the finest tradition of this community and of this medal to award it for such actions, and I do appreciate the vote and look forward to working with the council and the mayor to ensure that those medals are awarded properly. So thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
The August 6th Budget and Finance Standing Committee report.
Okay, this is an item that's continued. You got this, Mr. Counselor Memard, or you want me to? This is the back payment of the board up.
We approved a budget and finance, but has there been a change? I'm not aware.
There
of a
hasn't
change.
been a change. It's going to remain the same, but the administration has worked out something with the Inspectional Services Department.
So they won't be taking that hit out of their budget currently.
Correct. It'll be adjusted later. I'm sure we'll see that later on. Ari, come tomorrow night. Tomorrow, 4 to 6. 4 to 6. I'll be here. Counselor Memard. I think we've been through it. You can just read the motion.
So this relates to our August 6th Budget and Finance Committee meeting with a memorandum from the building commissioner requesting approval to pay a 2019 invoice with a fiscal year 2027 fund payment. And this was continued from the prior hearing, prior city council meeting. And the committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Memhard, seconded by Councilor Page. Budget and Finance Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the City Council approve in accordance with GCL Chapter 44, Paragraph 64, payment of prior year invoice for
MGL.
Mass General Law, Chapter 44, 64, payment of a prior year invoice for the Boston Board Up Services, LLC, and they provided a boarding up services at the concession stand at Wilson Field in fiscal year 2019, and this was for the purpose of paying invoice number 10800 dated December 24th, 2019, in the amount of $3,592.90, and it was to be paid with the current year, fiscal year 2027, General Fund Inspectional Services Ordinary Maintenance budgeted funds, and I so move.
Motion made by Councilor Memard, seconded by Councilor Page. Discussion? Councilor Page. Oh, it got continued to this meeting. No, we continued it. Any more discussion on it? No. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0, 2 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
There was no Budget and Finance meeting on August 20th. Next is the August 17th Ordinances and Administration Standing Committee Report.
Councilor Grow. Councilor Nolan, sorry.
I'll do it.
We have a memorandum from the mayor regarding a supplementary list of election officers for the September 1st, 2026 state primary and the November 3rd, 2026 state election. On a motion by Councilor Gray, seconded by Councilor Nolan, the Ordinance and Administration voted 2 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent, to recommend, in accordance with MGL Chapter 54, Section 11 and 11B, that the City Council confirms the appointment of election officers as recommended in the memo from Mayor Lundberg to the City Council dated August 4th, 2026, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor Majota. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0, 2 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
There was no Planning and Development meeting on August 19th, so there's no report for that. Next is public hearings. Public hearing 2026, number 22, Special Counsel Permit 2026, number 7. The application of Seaside Legal Solutions, PC, owner Billiken Investments, LLC, Day Court number 4, map 219, lot 155, GZO section 2.3.17, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 4 to 6 dwelling units, and section 3.2.2 footnote E, no principal building shall be closer to another principal building on the same site than the sum of their respective heights, provided, however, that the city council may by special permit authorize a reduction in said distance upon a finding that such reduction is not detrimental because of view obstruction, overshadowing, service access, or visual crowding. This is in the R20 district.
I'm going to open the public hearing and continue it to September 8th, 2026. Next order of business.
Public hearing 2025, number 52, RZ 2025, number 7, to amend GZO Section 6 definitions regarding flagpoles.
All right, this public hearing has been continued from June 23, 2026, and now is continued to December 8th, 2026. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing 2026, number 18, Council Order 26, number 12, Memhard, amend GZO Section 3.2.1, dimensional requirements for single, two-family, and three-family dwellings by increasing the minimum lot area per dwelling unit square feet requirement for the RC40 Coastal Residential Zoning District by deleting 20,000 square feet and adding 40,000 square feet.
This is continued from August 11, 2026 to September 8, 2026. You missed the deacon.
And lastly is public hearing 2026, number 15, petition to the City Council to accept and lay out a public way, Deacon Farm Lane.
Okay, that is continued from August 11th, 2026, continued to September 8th, 2026. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Councilor's request to the mayor.
Here, so it's me, then it's Councilor Grow.
I don't have anything new. The only thing that I've got pending is the list of rentals and short-term rentals and the that we've already made.
Great. Councilor Majota.
No request to the mayor.
Councilor Memhard.
All set, thank you. No requests.
Councilor Kimberly.
I have no request at this time.
Sorry, Hannah. Councilor Page.
No requests, thank you.
Councilor Nolan.
Brian, you picked a fine time to be here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn made by Councilor Grow, seconded by Councilor Majota. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 7-0.